Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And in this one, Should You Main or Should You Not series, we're going to be talking about the Elemental Shaman for Shadowlands. So if you're interested in this specialization, it has received a little bit of a tune-up, a couple of abilities unpruned from its already pretty solid base kit. You're going to be getting a lot of your totems returning, like Healing Stream Totem. So if you wanted that extra utility for your party, whether it be in PvE or PvP, however, likely to be more impactful in PvP, then you are going to enjoy that. You're getting some pretty interesting new talents like Echoing Shock, which is a 30-second cooldown. You can shock the target for 823 elemental damage and create an ancestral echo, causing your next damage or healing spell to be cast a second time 1 second later for free. So more duplicates on your already duplicated massive damage spells. This is a specialization that I think is going to be performing excellently in competitive PvP, and it's performing at a moderate level in Mythic Plus in my mind, and PvE as well, having AoE damage limited on a lot of classes and bringing Capacitator Totem to the team as an AoE stun provides a lot of disruption in Mythic Plus, along with Earthquake, to be able to constantly interrupt targets. And there's a lot of trash pulls where I was noticing the value of Capacitator Totem a lot when I was tanking the Mythic Plus dungeons. I was really thankful to have a Shaman in my group. So I think as Elemental, you are going to be providing a lot of utility in the Mythic Plus dungeons. And it's just really great spamming out Chain Lightnings and massive Earthquakes onto trash packs. Now in PvP, you're going to be looking at more of this kind of single target, Flame Shock, shooting meatballs of lava bursts at your target as your primary focus of damage. This is a specialization that is fun in pretty much all aspects of PvP. The only thing right now that you might want to avoid is 2v2 skirmishes where there aren't any healers. You may have a hard time surviving against Subtlety Rogues, Hunters, and Ret Paladins, but I want to assure you that that's just a 2v2 skirmish thing. Once you get into 3v3 and you've got a healer, or as your gear gets a bit higher and you get more versatility, so you're able to survive in that PvP situation, I think you're really going to notice how fun Elemental Shaman is and how much it can chunk targets. A lot of its damage in PvP is still focused in on Lightning Lasso, Lava Burst, and Stormkeeper, but Stormkeeper is hitting very hard now in PvP, unlike Battle for Azeroth, where it was kind of lukewarm. When we talk about Covenants here, I think it's a bit of a hot topic in terms of what do you want to do? What do you need to be able to accomplish your goals in the game? So for myself, I'm obviously kind of this PvP player first. I do dabble in PvE, and as you can see, I'm going to start uploading dungeon guides as well to the channel for anybody interested in checking those out, because I think it is going to be good to gear in some dungeons as well as PvP, even though the PvP vendor is great. If you want to completely min-max and gear up a little bit faster, I think it will be nice to mix in some dungeons. And I gotta say, the dungeons are really great. And as someone who would be kind of the PvP first focus person, like the dungeons are pretty fun. You can always respec to Resto if you wanted to. You're going to get groups pretty quickly as Resto, and you have that as an option when you're picking Elemental Shaman as a main. Going for enhancement as an alt, maybe. But right now, Elemental, I think, is in a solid position overall. I think it's probably one of the least likely specs to get nerfed as well. I don't think that it's outstanding so much so to a large degree that it is going to be getting nerfed. But when we talk about Covenants, because I went on a little bit of a tangent there, for me, I really like Necro Lord, and it's mostly for Primordial Wave, which is the class ability from going Necro Lord, which is 45-second cooldown. You're going to blast your target and deal some shadow damage, and you apply Flame Shock. Getting lots of Flame Shocks on targets is a problem in PvE and PvP, so being able to spread this around more frequently to develop a Lava Surge procs for Lava Bursts, I think is going to be very important and just super fun. So just from a gameplay standpoint and a fun standpoint, it works out really nicely. With Fleshcraft, not going to be too much of a fantastic ability. It's a bit cumbersome to keep up in PvE, but whenever you kill trash mobs, you want to make sure that you're casting Fleshcraft on their corpse, because you'll get a bit of main stat and other stats depending on what type of monster it is. So look to try and use Fleshcraft in PvE whenever there's dead monsters to gain a little bit of extra stats. But for me, mostly it's the Primordial Wave and getting 2 Flame Shocks where you're going to be getting your high value. And I really think that's important. And in my mind, I think this would work just as competitively in PvE to accomplish all of the in-game goal achievements, but you really need it as an edge in PvP over the other covenants. Venthyr is great in PvE. It's okay in PvP. Not a terrible pick if you really had your heart set on Venthyr. For me, Night Fae is more or less kind of Mimi for all content of the game. So if you want to go for the Mimi build and try and make it work, I would say Night Fae. And then Kyrian is PvE only pretty much. And after the nerfs, I'm not even sure if you would still 100% for PvE, but the Vesper Totem is just not good in PvP. So when you're looking at maining your Elemental Shaman, for me, gameplay wise, I mean, look at Transmog too. Like, this thing looks beast on a Shaman for Elemental. So if you want to look like a beast, be a beast, blast out some damage like a beast, Elemental Shaman is looking like a good pick. When I was looking at the legendaries, the one that was most intriguing before in the beta was the Elemental Equilibrium, but it has changed now to basically just be you get 15% more damage for 10 seconds every 30 seconds, which is great. It can be a little bit hard to control because you're going to deal direct damage right away at the start of a fight. So maybe in PvE where you can get the uptime, but in PvP it'll be hard to get this when you exactly want it. So the Wind Speaker's Lava Resurgence really stood out to me. When you cast Earth Shock, you gain Lava Surge and increase the damage of your next Lava Burst, and you can get some really fat stacked Lava Bursts, and Earth Shock's your hardest hitting ability. So I thought this would be a super fun combo for big crits, and this is the legendary that I had my eyes set on for an Elemental Shaman in the future down the road. I just wanted to point it out there, which ones are standing out as super fun and interesting, and ones that I would go after right now if I were to main an Elemental Shaman. Aside from that, we've got Conduits to look at. Obviously, I think you're going to want to be getting the Primordial Wave Conduit, which means that when you use it, you have a 20% chance to not get cooldown. So you get 2 more Flame Shocks instead of 1. That is really insane. For Elemental Shaman, you'll automatically get this little extra shield when you dip low health, which is great in PvP. Great for surviving in PvE, just a little extra auto bubble mechanic. Defense, I found that going for 15% more healing surge on yourself was great, just in all content, and you get the Swelling Waves Honor talent for PvP. For secondary potency, again, because I'm more of a PvP focused player, the conduits for potency were they're kind of lackluster for PvP. A lot of them were around Earthquake and these weird little AoE mechanics, which are great in Mythic Plus. You may want to go after those potency conduits, but this potency conduit for me, team utility in a group, I don't think it's going to hinder my damage so much that I wouldn't be able to still do PvE content. To go after a healing potency conduit here to use in PvP, because it means that when you put Healing Stream Totem down, your next 3 healing surges heal 20% more on top of that 15% healing. It'll be really great for just self-sustain and Torghast, self-sustain in PvP, whether it's in 3v3 or Battlegrounds. This is kind of a build that I think is well-rounded, easy to grind out, and works in everything. You're not going to perform at the highest level in PvE with the build that I'm recommending here, in my mind. And then for finesse, you can't go wrong reducing the cooldown of your Earthbind, your Tremor, and your Cap Totem. These are all great utility spells in PvE and PvP to be able to get your healer and team out of crowd control like Fear, or slow targets, or stun and interrupt multiple monsters or players. So in my mind, this was the #1 finesse conduit. You do have an option to go for Crippling Hex if you want more single target oriented utility, which will provide some damage reduction from a target that you hex. I feel like this is going to see more use in PvP than PvE. Whereas Totemic Surge is just good in all content. So if you wanted to keep it simple and not grind for too many things, then that would be my recommendation. As a default of going after Merilith here, you're going to get the Ultimate Form, which gives Fleshcraft more than just the utility of sucking stats away from dead monsters and giving you a shield. It's also going to make you immune to crowd control, which is really good in all content, but probably more notably in PvP, as Shamans are notorious for being targets of rogues. You can anticipate rogue attacks and immune their stuns. Rogue's not going to be too happy if you immune their stun, which is another reason why the Necrolord stood out to me so well, so much for Elemental. And right now I'm finding it a lot of fun as well for Restoration. So if you wanted to switch between the two, getting an extra charge of Riptide is super fun in all content. It starts to fall a little bit short for Enhancement if you wanted to main a Shaman and be this triple spec and not just Elemental. I'll truthfully say I think it falls a little bit behind for Enhancement specifically. It seems like Venthyr is the one where a lot of players are going after. But overall, I'm very happy with Elemental. It retained solid gameplay mechanics from Battle for Azeroth, had some extra utility returned to it, and a lot of the new mechanics and spells introduced in Shadowlands synergize and improve on where its weaknesses are. It's currently performing great in my mind, and not so phenomenally well that it would get crushed with nerfs. So in my mind, it's a good main to go. You got a healer as an off spec for any other additional content that you may need to pick up a heal. And the way you talent your conduits works for healing and for DPSing and PvP specifically, at least with the build that I've outlined here. So I think it's very versatile as well. I have to recommend it. You got low cooldown interrupts, grounding totem in PvP for all this extra kind of defense action to try and block incoming attacks. It's awesome gameplay. You're always going to be min-maxing, and it's always super fun to press Lightning Lasso and Lava Burst. Those spells never get old. So for me, it's definitely a spec. If you're looking to check it out, definitely do so. Don't be afraid to. But other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked the video, please leave it with a thumbs up. Comment down below with your thoughts on Elemental Shaman or what you're going to be maining in Shadowlands. Subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content, as I'm uploading daily and trying to create a great resource for you and provide my opinion on Shadowlands so that we can all make the right decision when it comes to our gameplay. I don't want to be leading anybody astray. Other than that, check out my other videos. I'll have them linked above here, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.